Hello Facebook, hello YouTube, watching on catch up. How are you all? Hope you are having a terrific week. I was just saying to our friends on Instagram who are all getting settled, getting their pencils and papers ready, that today we're in for a real treat. We're going to have a deep dive into a very interesting supplement that I had never heard about. It's called Spermadine. I'm hoping it's better than it sounds. And we're going to be joined by one of our favourite guests, Ed van Harmelen, who is the founder of a wonderful supplement company called Youth and Earth. Now, I have been talking about Youth and Earth for quite a while now because they are absolutely fantastic when it comes to creating supplements that help promote longevity. So that's their focus. So they don't sell you, vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin E, all of that. They sell very specific, sometimes quite complex supplements that are proven to be backed by interesting evidence-based information connected to longevity. So we're talking things like zombie cells, telomere shortening, sirtuins, DNA, mitochondrial activity. Have I lost you? Yeah, it's really going to be a fascinating listen. We do have a Liz Loves. We have an affiliate discount code with everything on Youth and Earth, which is very generous. It is 20%. Let me just find their details on my notes here. 20% off everything at youthandearth.com. Simple, easy to remember. I buy a couple of favourites from them. I buy NMN, which we've written about actually in past issues of Earle Wellbeing magazine. If you've got your back issues, you can refer to that. Or, of course, you can look at the digital editions online if you would like to. I hope you've all got your online editions as well as your print copies, because honestly, for things like that, it's really invaluable to have a resource that you can return to. So I take the NMN powder in the morning. I take it under the tongue. And it really works really well just to give me a little bit of extra energy, a bit of extra lift. And the thing with NMN, as we can talk to Ed about, is that we lose it as we age. So we have lots of it when we're young, and it's one of the reasons why the youngsters in our families are also full of energy and raring to go. It's because they're full of NMN, along with all the other things that they've got more of, like collagen, for example, which we lose as we age. And as we are living longer now, our life expectancy as women has gone up from an average of 60 or so years, not that long ago, to now 84, is it for women? 82, 84? Much longer. So we're living much longer, which is great. But of course, we need to live well. And we need to really give our bodies the nutrients that our bodies need to enable us to flourish. I'm all for living longer, but I want to live well for longer. I want to have life in my years, not just years added to my life. I want my cognitive function to stay. I want my brain health to be there. I want my vitality, my energy, all of that. And I'm afraid you have to think about how we age, how you want to age, what your priorities are in terms of your fitness, what you eat, prioritizing good healthy fats and proteins over carbs and sugars, moving a bit more to whatever level we can, whether that's just a walk around the block or whether that's actually picking up some weights and doing a bit of high intensity exercise, which we know helps our mitochondrial activity. We know that that helps, that little bit of stress that we get off our bodies really helps with the aging process. So yeah, it's going to be, hi Alison, nice to see you. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. And after my chat with Ed, I've got some exciting news, high street news to share with everybody. So don't go away. Yeah, we do love Ed. We do. Now, are we all sitting comfortably? Yeah, you got your pen and paper? Tuned out everything else? Shut away all distractions? Are we focused? Thank you for my dress. So I just very quickly, before we get into the science, let's talk fashion. So this is a new discovery. This is a lovely, fab female founder. She has a great brand with brilliant dresses. You probably saw, I popped it on my Instagram this morning. She's called Ridley London. And it's almost like kind of couture because she can alter dresses, she can change the dimensions, she can alter the length, tailor-made if you like, but with her beautiful designs, and she creates a lot in sustainable silks and fabrics. This is one that she's lent me actually, which I thought I'd pop on today. I did think about wearing it to Chelsea Flower Show because I'm off there a bit later on today. But I think it might be a bit chilly here in southwest London. You know, it's kind of bright, but it's cold. And she sent me another dress just to borrow for Chelsea, and also for an event that I was doing last night, which has longer sleeves. It's a really pretty pink chiffon with flowers all over it, which I think will look really nice for the Chelsea Flower Show. So I'm going to be wearing that. But yeah, check her out. She's on Instagram. Ridley London. So I'll pop it on my captions later so you can go and check. Or if you want to check my stories or my grid post, actually from early this morning on Liz Earle Me. Lily and I did an event together last night. It was our first public speaking event actually together, talking about women in business and diversity and ageism and hidden disabilities and all of that. And we both wore Ridley London dresses to support this great British female designer and brand founder. And sadly, Lily is not well. It really took it out of her, actually, last night. I was supposed to be going to the flower show with her this afternoon. But alas, she messaged me just now to say that she unfortunately is too ill to join me. But I'm going to be joined by Kit. So I will take pictures. So if you want to have a look at us, I will be accompanied by my middle son. I'm not sure if he's got a floral shirt. Kit, if you're watching, see if you can dig something floral out of your wardrobe, and I'll see you at the flower show. Anyway, I digress. We've all got pens and papers. Good. Are we sitting comfortably? Then we shall begin. Ed, you're not yet in my waiting room. I need you online. You saw the dresses. Yeah, they are beautiful, aren't they? And do you know what I love? I'll do a quick little stand-up. I haven't got very much room here in my studios, but I'll show you. Because they have pockets. And we love a dress with pockets, don't we? And a little bit of a waist to give a bit of shape. And I think she's great. So, yeah, watch out on my Instagram. It'll probably be full of her lovely dresses. Yeah, hugs for Lily. We're sending all the hearts for Lil. I don't know if she's watching. She might be watching live from her bed. Hello, sweetheart, if you are. If not, maybe you'll see it on catch up. Yeah, we do love a pocket. Okay, so Betty, I think maybe you're in touch with Ed. Oh, interesting. Carol makes your dresses shorter as well. Yeah, so Carol McEwen, she's the other really fab British female founder based in London who has all her dresses made in London and her tops and things. So it's very sustainable. It's supporting British fashion. She uses a lot of ethical fabrics, etc. And yeah, she's great. So yeah, you'll find her all over my Instagram as well, for sure. So here we go. I think Ed was probably getting a bit bored with all our fashion talk. Are you there, Ed? I have accepted you, so hopefully you are there. Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again.
How is life with you?
Wunderbar.
Good.
Wunderbar.
Very glad to hear it.
Always good.
Yeah, well, I've been
to be here again.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming back and joining us and giving us some brain power, which I have warned everybody that they have to have pen and paper. We will record this, so if you're watching it later on YouTube or Facebook, you can always head over to YouTube and watch it there. We obviously put it up on our grid on Instagram so you can recap, because it always goes off down a big deep hole, which I struggle to keep up with sometimes. So do you want to tell us a little bit, for those of you that haven't met Ed yet or heard him, do you want to talk a little bit about your background and about Youth and Earth? I mean, I've talked a little bit about why I love your brand and the supplements really focused on living well for longer, which is what we're all about here at Liz Earle Wellbeing.
Yeah, exactly. So, we set up Youth and Earth back in 2019. And the whole premise really was, to create supplements for people of a certain age. I'm nearly 49, and I didn't really feel there was any products out there that were sort of speaking to me in the market. And obviously through my own discovery, I discovered all these molecules that could help you just age better, improve your health span, potentially improve longevity. So we have a saying, you're not getting old, you're just getting started.
I love that. Yes. So, give me a heart if you think that that's the way to be. We're not getting old, we're just getting started. I so feel like that. It's about having a better second half in life, and we know so much more now, don't we, about what we can hack into to make ourselves feel better and more energy and aging well. Loads of hearts coming up now, loads of hearts.
Yeah. And we have loads of customers, you know, that are setting up businesses in their late 40s, early 50s. So, you know, age isn't slowing them down, right? You know, some of them are 70 and ready to have kids. So, I mean, you know, there's no...
I'm not sure I want to do that all over again. Those years are gone, as I say. That door is shut, you know. But yeah, now is the time actually to be making the most of our lives. And I think, you know, the pandemic, if it taught us one thing, it was that health is wealth. And we need to invest in it. We need to really understand what it is that keeps our immune system strong, that gives us the energy to get up in the morning, that keeps us looking well, feeling well. And that's what you're all about, isn't it?
Exactly. So, you know, we know there are molecules and compounds out there. We're starting to, you know, the science community is starting to discover this more over the last sort of 5-10 years. You know, the NHS is more of a reactive system, right? It's more like crisis management.
Crisis management. You have an accident, you break your leg, you're suffering from some, you know, major catastrophic disease that comes into your life.
Exactly.
But yeah, for daily, and you know, and you know, I know we get a lot of kickback sometimes from people who say, yeah, but these things are so expensive, but you know, what price is your health, and how do you prioritize it? And you don't need everything. But there are some fundamentals I think that we do need. And actually, you know, processed food is very expensive. But, you know, doing breathing, doing meditation, that's free. Having a cold shower, which I had this morning, you know, is free.
Works.
We're very fortunate in the Western world that we have access to clean, fresh, running water, you know, unlike some of the places that I go to. Exercise, moving, getting out in the fresh air, looking at trees in the park, looking at the grass around you, getting all that biophilia, that's all free. You know, so it's about choices, drinking more water, you know, choosing more water than wine, which is often a struggle for me.
Yeah.
So it is, it's about balance, and then it's about selectively deciding actually what you want to invest in. And I think it's, you know, the things that you do are evidence-based. I'm being asked about NMN. So before we get into Spermadine, which sounds fascinating, particularly with hair loss, can you just give us a quick overview on NMN? Because I buy it. It is expensive, but it is something that I tried maybe a year ago when we first chatted about it, maybe a bit longer, and I buy it on repeat. I mean, it's just one of those things that I just buy all the time. Yeah, I mean, Nikki's asking if you can have NMN powder with high histamine issues. I have very high histamine issues, which I can talk about later if you like. That's why I was rubbing my nose. And it's fine. I mean, I don't have any issues with NMN and histamine. But can you tell us about it, what it is and why you love it?
Yeah, so, you know, basically the concept of the company is to try and replace, you know, these things, these compounds, molecules that are endogenous in our body when we're young, and that actually as we get older, they just naturally decline. And one of those is NAD plus. And so this is like a coenzyme. It's used in pretty much a lot of processes around energy in the body. It's one of the first molecules found on Earth. It's in every living thing. And unfortunately, as we age, we have about half the NAD plus that we had when we were 50. So there's a real correlation. Half, exactly.
Gosh.
Around about half. Yeah, by the time you hit 50. We know there's also like a correlation to a lot of age-related diseases and low NAD, and it powers a lot of cell activity. One of those cells is called sirtuins. And sirtuins use NAD as fuel, which, you know, sirtuins are kind of like the CEO of your cells, and NMN creates NAD.
Right.
So when you take NMN, it acts as a precursor to NAD. You can't take NAD directly. It's
Can
too
you
large
not?
a molecule. No, you can't take it directly unless you do it via a drip or something.
Okay, so if you're having one of those really expensive IV drips, you could have it that way. But otherwise, to get your NAD levels up, you need to have NMN that will convert into the NAD. Yeah. Told you needed a pen and paper. Did warn you.
And so, exactly. It's like an episode of Line of Duty. So it's
with a better outcome.
So we know, like, we do see really great results. You know, it works for about, I'd say, 90 plus people, and it's one of those products you can take it. If you take it sublingually under the tongue, you should notice an effect quite quickly, and it can work differently for different people. So,
well, we're all different.
You know, yeah. So it seems to find what you need, and that's the best way of describing it. Because I've had some customers say, I don't get the energy, but I get glowing skin, or my hair's thicker, or my nails are stronger. Yeah. So, you know, it can work in so many different ways, and it's really an important molecule, I think, that I believe will only become more and more popular as we go along.
Interesting. And I think what's also worth pointing out here is that it's a very simple white powder, and you just put a little scoop under your tongue, and that's the first thing that I do every day. Take it with me when I travel. It just comes in a little packet. It's super easy to carry around with you. But I remember you saying that you need to watch out, because on the market, particularly if you go online, there are some pretty unscrupulous companies out there and organisations who will sell you this anonymous white powder. You don't know what it is. And, you know, you've tested things that have got no NMN in them, or, you know, very low amounts.
Yeah.
You do need to be careful. You need to buy from a trusted source. And I have to say, Ed, I genuinely trust what you do and the testing that you go through.
Yeah. And we test for stability to make sure it stays stable, because it can become unstable if you know, at the wrong temperature. So, you know, I think there's been a number of things on the internet where, you know, they've done research and they've looked on websites and Amazon and found many of the products contain only trace amounts of NMN. Because of the price point, it's quite easy to go out and try and sort of con the market, and people don't know what real NMN is, right? So when you see real NMN, then you'll know the difference. But it should be like a white, fluffy powder.
Right. And it's something that doesn't interact with anything else. It's just a natural material that the body uses.
Exactly.
So it's not going to interact with anything else that you're taking, or you don't need to take it away from other supplements.
Well, that's the great thing about these compounds that are endogenous, because they're just naturally occurring in your body, right? So by default,
they're there anyway.
They're there anyway. It's there. NAD exists. You're just topping up. It's like a fuel tank. Imagine you're just topping up the fuel tank, right? So, no, we've not really seen any interactions, any issues. I mean, obviously we have customers on all types of medications, all types of health issues that take the product, no problem,
We will get to talk about Spermadine, because I'm fascinated by this. But before we do that, I just wanted to mention a couple of other of yours that I do buy, and I buy these for myself, and I also buy them for my family, particularly for my kids. The first one that I take for me, and I take this towards the end of the day, so I'm taking NMN in the morning. It's literally the first thing that I do after I brush my teeth. I put it under my tongue. Then at the end of the day, I have your glutathione. This is a liposomal glutathione. It's the best tasting one I've found. Glutathione tastes of sulfur. It's a sulfury molecule, isn't it?
Yes, exactly,
And this one is mango flavoured, so my kids will also have this. And you may remember me talking about genetic testing and nutrigenomics, and I've discovered that I need glutathione. I don't make it in my body. About a third of the population doesn't, extraordinarily enough. And when I took this, I woke up the next morning, the very first time I'd taken it, feeling like somebody had put new batteries in me. You know, it was an extraordinary thing. What are you finding now with glutathione? Because you were one of the first, weren't you, to produce a good liposomal one?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a super popular product. As you said before, I think a third of Caucasians have this GSTM1 gene missing. So, you know, heavy metal detoxification. If you're able to detoxify, your cells are kind of surrounded by these heavy metals, and also you have a problem absorbing nutrients. And, you know, so you could have this kind of heavy metal detoxification, have a really great diet, but you're not actually getting the nutrients into your cells because they're kind of covered in this kind of these various heavy metals, etc. So that's sort of, it's a great product. It only works in liposomal form. So we know we've done studies with real people and compared that to sort of high street brands that are selling glutathione, and we've seen huge peaks in plasma levels. So yeah, cracking little
fascinating.
I take it in the evening as well.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it can mitigate a couple of glasses of wine, and
it can.
Fresh as a daisy.
It can. I've spoken to people off the record, and I'm not advocating this. Okay, seriously, not advocating this. But should you have one glass of sherbet too many, a multi-B vitamin complex, and a good dose of glutathione, and lots of water, and it does help to mitigate, definitely. And that's because of its detoxifying properties. Is that right? It's working within the liver.
Exactly. Yeah. So it basically, you know, glutathione is naturally occurring in the liver. So again, as you get older, you know, your ability to generate glutathione decreases, and therefore, you know, you need to supplement. And also, it's quite good for like skin complexion, so it can help with all that side of it. Long-term use, maybe with some vitamin C, can help also, and it's used a lot in Asia.
Yes.
Korea and places like that, people use the glutathione skin masks.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think it can help with skin tone.
Yeah, it actually, I mean, it had a bit of a reputation at one point for lightening the skin, and when I investigated it, it doesn't actually lighten your skin, it doesn't change your skin colour, but what it can do is it can even the skin. So you know how we get pigmentation, and that can be noticeable actually with a lot of Asian skin tones, and they can be quite susceptible to dark pigmentation, particularly under the eyes, and also, you know, pale skin. I get little age spots and things, and I've definitely noticed since, and I'm not quite sure whether it's using Lily's LED mask, which also helps with pigmentation, or whether it's a glutathione. It's probably a combination of all those things.
It's a combination of all those things, right?
It's actually evening. My skin is brighter looking.
Yeah.
Even though I've spent some time in Kenya this year and been out in the sun, which obviously brings out, you know, the age spots really quickly. My skin does seem to be, you know, clearer.
And they all push the needle, right? A little bit. So the NMN, the glutathione.
I love that, the
LED
needle.
Mask,
you're just pushing it and just nudging it a little bit in the right direction, aren't we?
Exactly.
Just keeping it up there, keeping it active and energized.
Out of the red into the green.
Yeah, for sure. So then the other thing that I take of yours regularly is the liposomal vitamin C. And, you know, vitamin C, I always think is a little bit of a Cinderella supplement, because we just think, oh, vitamin C, you know, you get it in oranges and just have a bit of orange juice and you'll be fine. But the doses that you need actually to get a kind of a therapeutic effect, and the fact that you can do that with liposomal vitamin C, because that goes straight into the cells, doesn't it? You're not taking it through the body.
Yeah.
You actually get much more activity, don't you, if it's liposomal?
Yeah, again, you're capped at like 200 milligrams, so that, you know, there'll be companies out there selling you 1,000 milligram tablet, but actually your body can only absorb 200 milligrams max, whereas liposomal, I think it can absorb a lot, right? So you could take 1,000 milligram dose, you could take
higher.
Another 1,000. So you can go much higher. And there's, I think Thomas Levy, I think you mentioned him before.
Yeah, I've interviewed him.
Who's like an expert on vitamin C, knows everything you need to know about vitamin C and all its ability to pretty much cure anything at mega doses, right? So
extraordinary.
Yeah,
I was reading some research actually from Linus Pauling, I think back in the, I don't know when he was writing that, was it like the 50s maybe? And he is the double Nobel Prize winner. And he was advocating mega doses of vitamin C for all kinds of degenerative illnesses that even today, you know, we struggle to cure. But he was, again, those high doses, therapeutic doses, using it intravenously, because the body just can't absorb if you're just taking it through the stomach. But of course now with liposome technology, that does get into your cells, doesn't it, in a similar way, I guess, to IV.
Yeah, so you could literally down that bottle of, and you'd be able to absorb most of that into to your cells, right, which is 25 grams of vitamin C. So you really can go to an absolute extreme if you wanted to, you know.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And if you want to know more about vitamin C and Thomas Levy, as you recommended, there is a podcast that I did a while ago. You'll find it in the archives of the Earle Wellbeing show. Maybe, Lainey, you can find a link and pop it up on Facebook. But let us get into the new topic of the day. Tell us, what is spermidine? And I guess the first question is, where is it coming from? Is it not coming from something that's part of its name?
So,
just putting that out there. I just want to know right out there, where is this coming from?
Yeah. So again, you know, similar theme. It's endogenous, right? Actually, you've got spermidine. We've all got spermidine in our tissues. So again, it's in all humans and all plants and animals. So it's something, again, endogenous. It's a polyamine. Yep. It again declines with age. And typically you get a third in your tissues. You've got a third in your gut microbiome. You get like a third of it through your diet. Right? So typically on the diet side, we see more in the Asian diet and less in the Western diet. So it's kind of foods. Yeah, it's kind of foods like soya, tempeh, natto. I don't know if you've ever heard of natto.
I tried natto. I mean, seriously, hats off for anybody who eats daily natto. It is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. So it's an acquired taste. It's
You're not kidding.
I mean, I like Marmite, but it's like Marmite times 200 in terms of because it's fermented soya beans, so it's not only the taste, but it's the texture. And
I have tried.
Yeah.
Some people love it. I mean, I guess if you're brought up with it, you know, I've got Japanese friends who swear by it. You always have it in the fridge, and
and they have it for breakfast with rice.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yes. So we have a diet very low in spermidine. So, you know, there's been a lot of like kind of ancient longevity scrolls that see the benefits of sort of spermidine. And you can find it also in things like wheat germ, concentrated wheat germ extract on the market. But I think your source of spermidine has to be the right source. You know, we get ours from Austria. So Austria or Japan are kind of the two best. But what it does is there's a mechanism called autophagy, which is this cellular cleanup of cells, right?
Autophagy, I was pronouncing it. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my light here because my main light's gone. Autophagy or autophagy.
Yeah.
We're hearing a lot about this, aren't we?
Yes. So autophagy, back to what you were talking about earlier on, where you can kind of do these healthy lifestyle habits to kind of induce wellness, like cold showers. You've seen the Wim Hof show now on the BBC. Hot and cold saunas, calorie restriction. So autophagy is where you go into a fasted state. And even at like the 16-hour mark, so if you went from like an 8 till 12, you could kind of induce autophagy. And it's where it's these kind of zombie cells. It's like your cells clean up all these dead cells.
Yeah.
And that's highly, highly beneficial. But there was a paper that came out in 2020 by Nature magazine, and they said that spermidine inhibits 5 of the hallmarks of aging.
Really?
So I think we've talked briefly about the hallmarks of aging, and it's obviously more of a scientific. But you've got, you know, one of them is like stem cell exhaustion, so your ability to repair, renew cells, you know, slows down. Epigenetic changes, so your DNA that changes, your genes that change with the environment, but they're reversible, so they can be changed.
Yeah.
Intracellular communication, you know, again, like your ability for cells to communicate. Folded proteins, which you see a lot in Alzheimer's.
Folded proteins, I've not heard that expression.
Yeah. So it's called impaired proteostasis. So it's one of the reasons, you know, is this ability in Alzheimer's, the folded proteins, the plaques that you see on the brain, that's one of the causes of Alzheimer's.
Right, yes.
Yeah. And mitochondrial dysfunction as well. So they're the 5 of the 9 that they've seen spermidine can actually inhibit.
Yes. How very interesting. And your spermidine is coming here, I can see on the little label, because we're being asked about wheat. It's buckwheat sprout flour. And buckwheat
which is gluten-free.
Is gluten-free. Yeah. So buckwheat isn't actually wheat at all, is it? It's a grain. It's a seed, rather.
It's a seed, yeah. And that's also what kind of makes our product unique. Because before we had a Japanese wheat germ extract, concentrated Japanese wheat germ. But this actually has 350% more spermidine. It's gluten-free.
Wow.
So we ended up changing supplier on that one.
So why should we take this then? I mean, we talked about hair loss at the very beginning.
Yes.
Is that something that this has been shown to help, and if so, how?
So what it does is, part of the hair growth, you have the anagen phase where your hair grows, and it's able to keep your hair in the anagen phase for like 30% longer, which we've seen, and it works especially well. So it's one of these products, again, what we've seen is women over 50, it works really well for, and where you may be able to see notable results after a couple of months. So if you've got thinning hair, able to keep your hair in the anagen. Melanin, so again, can help potentially with greying hair and, keeping more melanin in the hair.
Gosh, that's amazing, isn't it?
In the nails.
Yeah, I spend quite a lot of money actually trying to get the grey out of my hair. I mean, I know some people like to embrace the grey. Fantastic. That's not for me personally. So yeah, if I could hang on to a bit more natural colour for longer, that would be a good thing for me.
Yeah, and I've seen one thing I've noticed. I have an aura ring, and I've noticed taking it. I get better deep sleep now, so I'm getting kind of like 2 hours of deep sleep.
Do you know, I'm very interested in aura rings. I think I'm going to get one and trial it.
Yeah.
I just think that cool. Tracking, that's what we need to know, isn't it? I mean, I do have a sleep app which I use, and that can tell me. And I notice that things like magnesium at night, obviously keeping off my screens, last thing at night before bed is really, really helpful.
Sure.
And ashwagandha is another one that I take at night, and that helps me. Actually, on that subject, I've been buying your ashwagandha, but you've been out of stock, haven't you? You're getting it back in.
Yeah, it basically sold out so far, and then we've had a few supply. Yeah, it's in demand. People knocking down the door. It's a really good product.
Yeah, it is very good.
We did make a couple of batches, but we have quite a strict Q&A process in terms of making sure it's the right liposomes, etc. So a couple of batches didn't make the Q&A.
Oh, that's annoying, isn't it?
Full transfer. So, but we have got one coming in. It's passed. It's all good.
Good. I'll get my order in then.
I'm hoping it's arriving in the next day or two in the UK.
Great.
So yeah, it should be available. But that's a cracking product to help with cortisol,
really good.
Right? Stress. Yeah.
Cortisol, stress. That's those are my go-to in the evening. Ashwagandha with the glutathione and the magnesium. That's my kind of holy trinity, if you like, for bedtime. And I have go on.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, to the aura ring, the great thing about it is you can try and test all these products, and whether you have I've seen even just having a late night raid on the fridge can impact your sleep, right? So when you last eat.
Yeah, I had a late night snack actually last night, which I don't normally do, because I got back quite late from this speaking event, and I just went to the fridge, and I just really fancied a bowl of granola and yogurt, and I had that, and it didn't feel quite as good as I normally do in the morning. So
Yeah.
Probably didn't sleep as well. There's all that digesting. My gut was busy doing other stuff and not putting its energy into renewing brain cells. Which is what we need. Well, that's very good that your ashwagandha is coming back in stock. So Spermadine then, so buckwheat sprout flour. This is something that I can see on the instructions here. You just take 2 a day. So it's just like a food supplement. So it's not going to interfere with any medication. It's just like you're eating buckwheat sprouts, only in a much greater quantity, presumably.
Yeah. So the buckwheat sprout seedlings that then are turned in, extracted and turned into flour. But again, yes, the great thing about this product, opposed to the previous product we had, is it's gluten free.
Yeah.
We recommend best results. I'd say is take 2 in the evening.
Okay.
You can of course, if you want, put it into a smoothie or something.
Okay,
like
yeah.
that.
So you could just open up the capsule and just
yeah.
Just pop it in. That would be quite good to do, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And presumably no contraindications. Anybody who's taking medication or HRT or anything like that.
No, you shouldn't see any contraindications. Again, it's just a naturally occurring product. It's in the diet.
You've got it naturally in the body.
It's in your microbiome, so yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of questions coming in here about male hair loss as well. I guess it's for everybody. So, I mean, because of the name, you kind of assume that Spermadine is something that's kind of more of a male thing. Do they need a bit more? Do you guys need a bit more than women?
Well, you can see here, I think the combination of the
full head of hair.
And the NMN and the Spermadine. I think, I've seen, I don't seem to see any thinning, or I've seen a lot less graying since I started with the NMN, the Spermadine as well, even from the previous brand. So I think anything can help. It's not going to grow hair nowhere, but it's definitely going to help with thinning hair. And I think you'd see even things like eyelashes maybe potentially growing longer and stronger. So they're, again, if you're over 50, I think you will see physical, aside from the longevity benefits that we talked about, which are all kind of inside, I think it should manifest itself into some sort of physical changes.
Interesting. And, to be honest, Ed, I do take quite a lot of your things. Is this just something else I'm going to have to add in? It's not going to, all your things work in different ways. So the NMN, obviously I take in the morning, the glutathione I take at night, the vitamin C I take during the day. I'm also taking my omega-3s and my vitamin D and, the ashwagandha. Is this just something else that's going to fill in yet another part of the puzzle?
Yes, exactly. I mean, again, it's doing something different, right? It's like when you build a house, you're bringing in many tradesmen that all sort of specialize in different elements, right? From electricians to plumbers to painters to landscapers. So again, the body's complex. We are potentially looking at kind of making an all-in-one product that maybe focuses and brings together some of those key elements like the NMN, the Spermadine, the glutathione. So just buy one product that hopefully has everything in. But the Spermadine predominantly, again, highly recommend. Again, if you're fasting naturally, or you're eating a diet high in Spermadine like natto, by all means, continue to do that. But it's really for those people that I certainly recommend it for thinning hair. If you've got a thinning hair problem, if you've got brittle nails, that with the NMN, I do think they will work. So if that's a concern of yours.
Yeah. I mean, I was just being reminded there that I also take the Ingenious Beauty, the collagen, which is, yes, absolutely. And the other one that I do take, and I took it away with me because it's got quercetin in it, is the Preservage.
Yes. Well, look how young you look.
Well, clearly. I'm 103. So, it's obviously all working really well.
You look fantastic.
Well,
something's working right. So.
Well, I'm trying a lot of things. I mean, I had my birthday last week, And I am still in my 50s just, but, you know, it's my big birthday next year. I'm 60 next year. So I'm thinking, okay, so I am actually technically in my 60th year. And I mean, I feel about 22. So, you know.
Exactly. That's the most important part, right?
Yeah. And you know,
how you feel,
I have energy and vitality, and I sleep well, and, you know, my bones are strong, and all of that. But, you know, it does need a little bit of thought and a little bit of effort. You know, I did have a cold shower this morning, not because I got up thinking, oh, I'd love a cold shower, but I just knew that being in the shower and turning it down at the end, I don't get into a cold shower, I'm not that brave, but turning it down at the end is going to make a difference. You know, it feels terrible at the time, and, you know, you just think, oh, I can't do this. And then after about 30 seconds, you think, actually, do you know, this is okay. And then you get out and you feel incredible. And you know through the science that that little micro stress is going to impact on your circadian rhythm and your cortisol and all of that in a helpful way during the day. And that's why I do it. You know, you do have to kind of push it out there a little bit. But let's talk about Preservage, because that has the quercetin in it, which I take for hay fever. That's why I've got an itchy nose. I was actually running in the park this morning. Another thing that I didn't particularly feel like doing, but I did get up and do it. And it's just full of plane trees at the moment that are shedding pollen and blossom and bits everywhere, and really making me sneeze. But the quercetin is massively helping.
Yeah, so I think we're looking at creating like a liposomal quercetin as well, because we have this kind of liposomal ficetine and quercetin product, and we have the quercetin in the Preservage. So the Preservage really is that combination of resveratrol, curcumin, quercetin. They all have benefits, and the combination of those three actually have a synergetic effect, so they kind of boost the bioavailability of the ingredients of the resveratrol. So a lot of customers will take the NMN and take the Preservage as well.
Yeah.
Or they take the NMN and they take the liposomal resveratrol. So, yeah, that's a great product, award-winning product, and you know, that's won a number of awards, that product. So I think it's one of the only ones in the market that's got those three ingredients combined.
Interesting. So taking the three of them together, it makes them more than the sum of their parts. Is that right? So
exactly.
They're all working together to create more of an effect. How interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with our formulas, is try and create synergy, but also improve bioavailability, improve absorption. Yeah.
So I took it away with me. I've been doing some travelling recently. Thankfully, you know, we're back out allowed to travel again. So I've had a couple of trips away, and because I'm always limited, you know, when you fly with hand luggage and even check-in luggage, you're limited on weight. And so I took your Preservage with me because I do take curcumin and turmeric, and I do like the resveratrol, and then obviously the quercetin. So I thought I'd take the Preservage because that would have it all in it. But I was concerned actually that I wasn't getting enough. But interestingly, that if I take the three together, they can be quite powerful.
You're not getting enough of the, well, I think it's one serving's 200 milligrams of curcumin, but the synergetic effect gives it a boost by 229%. And then the resveratrol, the resveratrol, and I think there's studies on the product page that link to that.
I'll go and have a look.
The resveratrol gets a boost by 350%, and then you've got, so altogether, and the reason we created that product, and I think we touched at the beginning, is this sirtuin activity. So we know that these sirtuins are responsible for longevity. They're called the longevity gene.
Yeah.
There's a family of 7, and they're normally induced by calorie restriction, fasting, you know, all these kind of healthy lifestyle habits. You get, you know, resveratrol, for example, which is one of the key ones you get from red wine. And we see, like in, you know, Sardinia and these blue zone countries that, you know, drink a lot of red wine. So it's like the master CEO of your cells. So these sirtuins, they decide what your cells do, when they do it, and they're kind of running the company effectively.
Really?
They're out there protecting your body. And, you know, in times of need, when you talked about, like, you know, that stressing the body, like and then they kind of come to the body's defense, and that's how you kind of generate sirtuins naturally. And so the preservage is supposed to be a sirtuin activator, and then the NMN acts as fuel for those sirtuins, because these sirtuins, they need NAD. And again, as you get older, we talked about before. So think of one's like a turbo boost, and the other one's like fuel. So one's like an accelerator, and the other one's like fuel, basically.
Okay,
so you're kind of supercharging all this.
I'm definitely beginning to understand a little bit better about why what I'm taking is working. I mean, I can feel it's working. I feel better. I look better. I have more energy. I sleep better. All of that. But I'm a great one for trying to unpick the whys and the hows.
Yeah.
And taking my NMN in the morning, I now understand from what you're saying that to have that with the preservage, those three things, the quercetin, the resveratrol, and what was the other one? The curcumin.
Yeah.
Are all working powerfully together, and then they're getting a boost, that turbocharge from the NMN that's creating the NAD.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. So that's my morning. That's my morning sorted, big tick. And then in the evening, I'm having my glutathione, liposomal glutathione. And now I guess the Spermadine. I'm going to have to throw that in and see what difference it makes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you said you've got a sleep app there or something.
Yeah, I do.
I'm interested to see like how that works. And
how long?
You measure things like HRV. I don't know if you measure HRV.
What's HRV?
It's heart rate variability. So again, that's something that there's correlations to HRV in general health. So when you have a very low HRV, again, it's like I think it's the beats between your heart. So it's like how fit your heart is. So low HRV, not so good. High HRV, good. So if you see improvements in HRV, you should, if you have an Apple Watch or one of these devices, you can see it measured.
I mean, fascinating. Do we need to take these with food? Are they like the fat-soluble vitamins that it helps to have a bit of fat to absorb them?
Well, liposomal is a fat in there.
So liposomal, and you can take it with or without, doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, exactly. I think in the morning, the preservage, again, you take it with the fat to improve bioavailability when it's required, right? So, but the Spermadine, no, you don't need to. I think it's fine. It will get absorbed into the gut microbiome. It'll be fine.
And lastly, how long before we see a difference? For anybody watching who's thinking, I've got thinning hair, I'm listening to the science, I'm going to try this for all sorts of health reasons. Maybe the hair is just kind of the icing on the cake, really. It's the optional extra. How long would you say that you have to take this for before you see a difference?
Like anything, it depends on the individual, but, some people have seen within a week, 2 weeks of thinning hair. Certainly if you've got hair falling out or something like that, you're worried about that. You're seeing that blocking up the shower. But, normally a couple of months, I would say, before really to see results. But, it should manifest itself, the Spermadine, into, so if you've got brittle nails, I mean, I don't know, women obviously get acrylic nails, etc. But like if you've got brittle nails, eyelashes, hair again, if you're seeing hair falling out, that could be a way of sort of signaling, okay, this is working, right? I'm noticing my hair. Then you for sure it's working on the inside as well.
Yeah, as well as things like tracking sleep.
If you can track sleep and HRV, these are all ways of also seeing that it's working.
Jeannie's asking, she says she takes her glutathione in the morning. Is that wrong? I think you can take it whenever, can't you?
You can take it whenever, but I think what we've said before is you're going to have a drink in the evening, and because it's a detoxifier, then sometimes I'll take it before I go to bed or something.
No, I mean, I tend to have my morning and evening ritual just because it's, I just split them up and up. I think in the whole scheme of things, as long as you're getting them inside you, it doesn't really matter when.
Exactly.
It's just getting it regularly, and obviously, if you are having a glass of something in the evening, then it's quite good to have something before
So
you go to bed.
you don't want to take your NMN in the evening because, again, that's kind of...
That's the energy, isn't it?
That's the energy, so
Yeah.
you don't want that. So anything that's going to kind of disrupt your sleep, you don't really want in the evening, right? So
Sure. Yeah, it's like not having that cup of coffee or the dark chocolate.
Exactly.
Before we go to bed. Brilliant. Ed, I mean, it's so fantastic to talk to you and to learn more every time. I mean, I just think our knowledge base is increasing so much and it gets clearer, actually, every time we chat. I kind of understand it a bit more. And obviously with taking these things, I've been taking them now regularly, different things for the last sort of 18 months or so, and seeing the difference that it's making a difference. Interesting. I've just been distracted by a comment here by Min, who says, I've definitely noticed increase in hair growth since taking NMN, and it's gone bonkers mad putting collagen in the mix. So amazing, isn't it? I mean, that's so encouraging, actually, that you can start to reverse some of the more distressing visible signs of aging that you might not want.
Yeah, I've noticed with NMN, my hair's got a lot kind of thicker. I'm cutting my nails every couple of weeks,
Yeah. Actually, you're right. I mean, I tend to keep my nails quite short, and I don't paint them just because I don't have time. I mean, I used to. I should get back to that maybe. But yeah, I mean, I'm often, every week now, I'm having to really file them down because I hadn't actually connected that. That's probably the NMN, do you think?
Yeah, it is, for sure.
Yeah. And then just lastly here, Rowley says, I'm worried about overloading with other supplements.
These supplements are, we've sort of discussed that these are endogenous and they are doing something different, completely different from other supplements on the market, right?
They're not vitamins. It's not. They're different.
Exactly. These are, NMN, you can find it in broccoli, right? In trace amounts. Naturally found. The spermidine we talked about in the diet. Glutathione, again, it's got naturally occurring. It's very difficult to create that. So, they're not. They do different. You're always going to need. I always think with a lot of vitamins, there's a lot you can get from your diet. Right?
Oh, completely. I'm not a great advocate, as anybody here who's regular viewer, knows. I don't advocate taking a daily multivitamin, multimineral. We really should try and get as much as we can from our food and our diet. But as we age, there are certain things that are just impossible to get in the quantities that we need for the results that we might want as we age. And particularly with, modern food processing, leaching out nutrients from the soil, from food processing, our busy lives, just taking so much out of us on every level. And we're tempted to eat packaged stuff and do all the stuff that we shouldn't, breathe polluted air, which puts a strain on heavy metals and toxicity, and you've got chlorine in the water. And I mean, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? We need to do a little bit to combat that, I think, personally. That's my view anyway.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, the bottom line is try it and see. I know that through taking many of the things that you make, that I buy from you, I feel better for it. And I miss it. If I don't take it, I miss it.
Yeah. So the NMN for energy is a must for anyone that's really struggling with energy and just get up and go. And we've just seen a testament to that. I set up this business, on the back of NMN, right? Like a hard day's work, then going up and, working in the evening. So I think if you're a busy mum, you've got busy family, life,
just daily stress.
Life, and you're looking to do that. The spermidine, which we talked about earlier on, for that kind of thinning hair or mimic that. If you can fast naturally, by all means do that. But if you can't, so the
spermidine is coming back to autophagy or autophagy, however you want to pronounce it.
Autophagy, yeah.
The spermidine, what's in here, is mimicking the same effect that we get from fasting, intermittent fasting.
Yes, yeah.
Very interesting.
It's a shortcut, yeah.
It's a shortcut.
You could fast and still take it and reap even more benefit from it, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
so you've got the ashwagandha that helps with stress.
Ashwagandha,
cortisol.
we love it. The adaptogenic herb, totally. Works in a
the
very different way. You know, that's not working in the same way as a vitamin or a mineral.
Yeah. The glutathione, the detoxification. We know how important that is more as you get on in life. And, you know, that in itself is kind of again, it's difficult to get that from a natural diet, right? Glutathione, you can't get that naturally. So,
what about youngsters? Just before we go, I know I said it was last question, but I've got another last question for you. Lady here, her son is 25 with post-viral fatigue. You know, could he take NMN, or is it just for those over 40?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have a lot of people that come up back of Corona.
Sure.
Fatigue,
yeah, want to get the energy levels back up.
Boost NAD levels up 100%.
Interesting, Ed. Thank you, and thank you very much for the generous discount. We love that. 20% off everything at Youth and Earth with Liz Loves. It's all in capitals, all one word. And your ashwagandha's coming back in stock. I'm going to be watching your website.
Yes.
I'm going to be on there. Finger poised.
Sign up for the email. I've got
I get your emails. I get two. I get your email sent to my work and my home email, so I get double.
Okay.
Just in case I don't want to miss it, because it's always fascinating, all the stuff that you talk about. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Come back and chat again soon. Lovely to see you. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You've got to leave me, Ed, otherwise I click everybody off. So fascinating. And I just have to say, you know, I was literally, you probably saw me just sort of, I got itchy nose because I'm here surrounded by trees in my studio in London, and I do suffer normally really, really badly from hay fever. And I have yet to open my prescription medication that my GP gives me every year, because it's usually so bad. You know, I have to have steroid sprays and high-strength antihistamines and eye drops and everything, and they are all sitting untouched in my bathroom cupboard because I've been taking the quercetin. So I highly recommend it. If you've got any experience with it, do let me know. I'd love to hear. But it's an extraordinary thing how that is working to dampen down the natural histamine response. And I've been taking BioCare, which I really like. We've also got a Liz Loves discount with BioCare. They have a very nice quercetin with a nettle extract, which I've been taking. But interesting, wasn't that, to hear about Ed, that his Preservage, that has the curcumin and the resveratrol and the quercetin, is synergistically so much more potent when you have the three together. And it just shows that you need to know about this stuff, because sometimes when you just look at the back of a label, you go, oh, that's only got so much in it, you know, that's not as effective as something else. But it's all about the delivery system, so liposomal delivery system being far more effective than it going through the gut. Liposomal, don't forget, is the kind of little bubbly cells that get straight into your own cells. It doesn't go through the gut, it doesn't get broken down and then reabsorbed, this liquid, because it's got these little tiny fat globules that just are absorbed into the fatty wall of the cell membrane. Immediately goes in, which is why you can have less of it and have a more potent result, because it hasn't been broken down by the stomach. Does that make sense? So it's more expensive, but you're getting more for your money. So that's why it's important not to always look at price. Price doesn't always mean value. Value is different. Value is different from price. And you can have something that costs more that actually delivers greater value, if you get me. Anyway, I shall be trying Spermadine. Let me know if you do as well. Let's check back in a month or two. Yeah, Lorraine, it seems that you can take Spermadine if you're on thyroxine. It's a food. It's like eating lots of natto if you were in Japan. So obviously do check with your doctor if you're at all concerned. Ashwagandha, yeah, I mean, try the liposomal ashwagandha. I guess it depends what you're taking it for. You know, if you're taking it for sleep, then things like magnesium is really helpful. We've got lots of really good articles actually on the Liz Earle Wellbeing website on sleep. So do please take a look at that. Loads of resources. Sleep and anxiety, two of our top topics actually. And I've also recorded lots of podcasts with all kinds of experts, including Professor Matthew Walker, talking about sleep. yeah, the ashwagandha min is amazing from Youth and Earth. I completely agree. Right, before we go, I did say that I had news, big news. It feels like there should be a drum roll or a trumpet voluntary or whatever. And that is to say that Mighty Brew, my lovely friends at Mighty Brew, who produce the amazing Heritage Kombucha. This is the double fermented, completely natural, packed full of farm ingredients, botanical, natural, herbal ingredients from the farm. This one is inspired by the English gardens. This is the blush rose. And there's the elderflower sec, which is being released for the Jubilee, which is this lovely non-alcoholic elderflower. It's like elderflower champagne, but it's good for your gut. Super, super good. The good news is that it has just launched in Ocado. Yes, isn't that exciting? So it's not just online with Mighty Brew, but it is Ocado, and they are running a great deal at the moment on Ocado. And they're also running a competition that anyone who reviews this on Ocado can win the chance of winning. So, and we're going to have a link to that we can direct you to. So definitely watch out for it. But yeah, if you want to try it, if you try it and you know you love it, if you're somebody who uses Ocado and wants to add that to your weekly shop, it is available now. This is the blush rose, which is like the pink champagne version. And then there's the elderflower sec, which is, as the name suggests, made with organic farm-grown elderflower heads, proper ones, not extracts or just, you know, synthetic drops of stuff. They've actually, you know, they brew it up properly in these huge vats with these enormous scobies, kombucha scobies. My kids love it. It's really good. If you want to get some in for the Jubilee, to maybe cut down on the alcohol. I know that we can take glutathione and drink lots of water, but actually it's better, isn't it, not to have that one glass too many. So, you know, if you've got friends coming round, if you're celebrating, maybe you've got a street party or community party going on, you know, take some of the Mighty Brew kombucha. It pops in a cork like champagne, so it feels really celebratory. And is good for your gut, and of course is alcohol free as well. So just before I go, I know that loads of you have got your magazine now. I hope you love it. Let me know. If you haven't yet subscribed, we've still got the deal for the MTHK vitamins for the eyes. These are different. It's different from the Youth and Earth. These are special carotenoids specifically selected to improve eye health and to help prevent the degeneration that happens when we age. And I interviewed Professor Dawn Sim, who works at UCLA and Moorfields Eye Hospital. She's an ophthalmic professor, and she, with two other leading eye specialists, have created this amazing eye care brand, MTHK, and it's all about things like preventing macular degeneration, keeping our eyes strong and healthy. And of course, as we age, that's one of the key things, isn't it? You know, we protect these assets that we have that are so precious, our hearing, our sight, all of those things. So really, really important. So MTHK, we do have a discount. So if you just want to buy them, you know, without subscribing to the magazine, or maybe you're already a subscriber and you just want to get some money off, it's mthk.com. Liz Loves gives you 10% off. Otherwise, I think these are about £30, I think, for a packet. $29.50 or something like that, but you get that free with your subscription, direct debit subscription to the magazine. Anyway, that is it. I am going to Chelsea Flower Show this afternoon, so if you're on Instagram, then do please tune into my stories, because I'm going to be hopefully posting lots of lovely pictures, sadly not with my lovely Lily, but with Kit, so I hope he's getting ready. And I'm going to be wearing my little rose. I thought that was appropriate for Chelsea Flower Show. My little wild rose made of 24 karat gold vermeil, fair trade gold. It's one of my exclusive botanical designs in the botany collection for Lizelle Jewellery. And at the moment there is 20% off the Wild Rose series if you want to head over to Lizelle Jewellery and have a look. But yeah, I've got earrings and little bracelets and necklaces that go with Wild Rose. So I'll be back on Tuesday live. So Tuesday we're going to do something different. We're back talking about makeup and fun things, getting ready for parties and the long bank holiday Jubilee weekend. We're going to be talking to Studio 10 again, Grace Forder, talking about dry skin, how to get the complexion glowing in time for summer, and makeup as we age. So anyway, sending you lots of love. Thank you so much for all your great comments. Really fantastic. Lovely, lovely to hear from you all. Yep, there is a Liz Loves. On the jewellery, you don't need a Liz Loves. You just need to go over to lizoldjewelry.com. No code needed to get your money off there. They're actually on sale at the moment. Alison loves Mighty Brew. Yeah, it's really good news, isn't it? Yeah, if you're on Ocado, do go and check it out. Love to see what you think, and maybe leave a review on their website if you feel like it. That would be great. Sending you lots of hearts back. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.